Hello my dear YouTuber friends, and I hope you're all keeping well. Welcome to this new video, which is a review and a kind of unboxing for the Logitech Radio Panel, using it in Flight Simulator 2020 or Microsoft Flight Simulator. It's going to be a review. I'm going to show you some of the application and uses for this as well. I'm a bit late to the party on this one. Something I meant to get some time ago, but I've got it now, and here's my review of it. So let's not hesitate. Doesn't it look great? Let's get on with the video. So here's the Flight Radio Panel as it comes. Nice small box. In fact, it's exactly the same box, or size of box, as the multi-panel, and likely to switch panel as well. I like that presentation. The Flight Yacht system comes in a much larger box, but the same kind of colours. So it's all nicely coloured, coordinated. So let's put the two boxes together. This is empty. This is actually on my system at the moment. But as you can see, exactly the same. So storage-wise, yeah, easy to store. Small boxes, just nicely presented. I'm not going to do a full unboxing, get the things out, and then you can see the actual contents of the box, is my philosophy. But I will show you how it comes in the box. So when you get to the inside box, the black box inside the blue box essentially, it's up to the typical nice Logitech presentation. It's not over the top, it's just packaged nicely. You got this foam around it. There's the radio panel itself. I'll go through the features of this later in this video. But I like the style of it. Similar to the multi-panel, the way that came packaged. Just a nice presentation, nice and small. You can store these away quite easily and nicely. And like I said, that's the panel itself, all nicely presented. So what I'll do now is install that on my Logitech Flight Yacht system, and let's go through some of the features on the radio panel. Okay, so before I install the radio panel in my Flight Simulator, I just thought I'll show you what else it comes with inside the box itself. Comes with the front of the panel here, so this is the radio panel itself. I'll just stand up a little. This is like a bracket that you can fit it onto. I've actually put 2 screws into it so far. Now, if you had your own virtual cockpit and you had a hole cut out just for the front part, you don't need that bracket, then you can just slot that into your virtual cockpit by itself. For myself, I'm either going to have it to the side. I do like the way it looks on this desk, I've got to say. And I won't just be using the Logitech Flight Yacht system. But if you had the honeycomb, or if you have the honeycomb or Velocity 1, you can put it to the side like that. And it comes, let's not move too quickly for you. I know that can be disorientated for some people. Comes with sort of 3 double-sided sort of sticky pads, so you can stick it down to the desk if you wanted to. By the way, if this film on the front of these glass panels is triggering you, I'm afraid you're going to have to put up with it. I keep them on for a while because these panels on the front here, these glass panels, they pick up dust and dirt and every single speck that's in the air. I'm constantly having to wipe them and clean them constantly. They seem to pick up every single mark. So for a while, I'm going to keep them on. Now, it also comes with 6 screws. You've got 2 large ones. That's to attach, I won't keep moving about, the front panel to the bracket, which I just showed you. I've got 2 in. These 2 smaller ones is if you have a Logitech Flight Yacht system like this, you can either install that on top of the Logitech yoke itself, or, like me, if you have a multi-panel, you can actually screw it these holes will be the same at the bottom part of this bracket. You could screw it down on top of this, which means, of course, I'm going to have to raise my monitor up, but that should be no issue. And of course it also comes with an instruction manual as well. All the basic things, but it's quite nice that they include the screws there for installing it on top of your yoke system and for installing it to your bracket. So let me now get this set up and I'll see you in a minute. Okay, so there's the radio panel set up on top of the multi-panel in all its glory. It's quite a simple setup this, but doesn't it look more serious now with that radio panel on top? I'm digging it, I'm liking it. People have much more impressive setups, I know. For the keen-eyed of you, you will notice that I've taken the film off the front of these. Didn't quite look right with the film still on them. So I peeled them off. I know people like to see people peel them off, but I just did it off camera. One thing I'll mention, a couple of things I'll mention in fact. On the multi-panel, this turny knob here, it's all one solid piece of equipment. So if you're turning the outer or inner, it's one solid piece. With the radio panel, you've got an inner knob, which turns the number before the decimal, as you can see there. And you've got an outer knob, which turns the numbers after the decimal. I'll go into these in more detail later, but that's quite nice, as it should be on a radio panel. You've got these knobs, these sort of select switch on the left-hand side, switching between comms, which is on comm now. You can go down to nav as well. And goodness knows what, so you can. I'll go into that in a little bit more detail later. It's not going to be a full tutorial on the radio panel in everything it can do. I'll just be concentrating mainly on comms and navs because those are the things that people use the most. And you've got things like the standby switch. Those two are the same numbers, so let's just change up that number. Standby switch, as you can see, it switches between your standby and your active, which is very nice. On both displays there. Anyway, oh, and one other thing, the box it came in, the radio panel, it acts great as a riser, or makeshift riser for your monitor. I've had to rise it up a bit because with that radio panel on, I couldn't see the monitor, but now I can. So, you know, if I can do things on the cheap, I will. It will do for now. Acts great as a riser. Let me stop recording on my camera there. And what I'll do now is talk about the download. Now, I'm going to link this page, as you can see here. So it's a Logitech support down in the description below. I could only find one driver to install. Now, it should be your top option. So if you go to this in the description, if this is not open, just open this, download that, run it, and then run Flight Simulator. And yeah, actually with me, I'm going to be honest, I plugged in my radio panel to my USB. It didn't work straight away. So just be aware of that. I don't know why. It could be my computer. I'm using a lot of USB ports on the actual PC at the moment. And I might be overstressing it. I could do with a USB port ASAP. Like a separate port to plug all my USB devices into. Which I'll probably do and attach it to the back of my desk or underneath my desk. Or something of that sort. May not happen to you. It should come up, if you install it into the USB port, your radio panel, should come up a little box here saying that installing driver for Logitech Radio Panel or something of that sort. So a little box around here. Didn't do it for me, I had to unplug it a couple of times, then it did it. And with the driver installed, it all works perfectly in Flight Simulator. So let me now jump into Flight Simulator full screen and show you some of the features of this radio panel. Okay, so I'm set up somewhere in Denver in the Cessna 152 in this case, for this video, because the radio panels here are very similar to the Logitech radio panels in their layout. Now what I'll do, I'll just bring up the ATC box here. I'll show you that for a reason. Let me just grab my camera and hit record there. There we go, so you can see my radio panels now. Now look at these numbers here, this is COM 1. I've got my selector up here to COM 1. So it's this side here on the Cessna 152 rather. If I move those numbers, you can see those numbers on the left there move as well. Let's just move the inner knob. Now you can see there, there's 3 numbers after the decimal points here. There's only 2 here. But don't worry, it still works. If you need to get to 133.935, while it's on 9.3 here, just move it one more. So that's 9.3. Move it one more, it will go to 9.35 on here. If you ever need to do that, I've noticed that you don't usually need to do that. You can see a lot of these numbers, 4050. You do have 55. Well, that's how you would do that. I've got the ATC panel open here. Let's tune to the 80s to see weather conditions. So I'll put this back to 26. Try and do this quickly for you. And I'll put that to 250. So I believe there is a 255 here, so I've got to be careful, which is a point in case. Just make sure that's 250 on screen there as you're moving your radio panel. If I now click that to active, not sure what that the Azure offline thing was. That's a first for me, but effectively it will give you your weather conditions and goodness knows what, visual information and usual 80s stuff. Now while that's going, I'm going to speak over it. Let's tune to ground on the standby 121.700. As you can see, if you need to get there quickly with these knobs, it's a lot better than fiddling around with your mouse, coming down here and fiddling around. You can just do it on your radio panel on the fly without even coming down to your radio panels if you need to, because you can see what's happening on the actual panel here. Let's get that to 700. I'm tuned to ground. Now you still have to press here like depart south. Well, I can press number 6 on my keyboard, in fact it's on my knee. There you go. Contact tower when ready. So if I finish with 80s there, I could tune that into tower. I'll just click acknowledge because it'll keep bothering me. So tower 118. So as you can see, it works well. This will be especially useful in things like VATSIM. Something I've always wanted to get into for a long time. As long as VATSIM's been running, I've just never found the time to get into it. Instead of fiddling, the radio panels in the Cessnas and default aircraft put me off, but now I've got this. There's no excuse, is there? I'll talk a little bit more about future videos in connection with this radio panel a little bit later on. There you go, I've got tower ready, so if I want to take off, I've got the bottom one on ADF. So I've got ADF selected, and this works as well. If I move that inner knob, as you can see, it's working here and it's working there. So that's also working. Won't go into that in too much detail in this video. I'm going to try and make this a simple overview. I'll put it back to Nav 1. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to show you in this video as well, an ILS, that you can get your ILS manual landing going. I could tune into a frequency here with Nav 1. Now I'm going to have to look that up to see what it is in Denver International to land on one of the runways there. And I can do a manual sort of ILS approach using the dials. Let me get up in the air and I'll show you that. Okay, so I've just looked up the information for the ILS frequency. I'm not going to make this a tutorial. For KDEN, I think that's Denver International, for runway 8 ILS frequency, which I believe is 10890. Now, on my radio panel, I won't show you that again on screen on the camera, but I've got the bottom one set to Nav 1, which will be here. So if I start moving these numbers, or the dials on it, you'll see these numbers. I'm just doing that on the actual physical radio panel itself. So 108 and then 90 should be fine. So what I'll do, I'll get up in the air and I'll show you this does indeed work for Nav as well. So here you go, my ILS is active on my dial here. I've got my nav frequency on active, 108.90 for runway, I believe it's runway 8 at KDEN. I'm not going to do a tutorial on this of how I did that step by step. I'm thinking of doing that in a future video. Let me know if you're interested in seeing that. So instead of relying on the fancy autopilot systems of aircraft, you're actually manually flying the ILS itself. At the moment, I'm to the left of it and I'm below it, so I need to keep increasing my altitude. Yes, I'm around 7,000 feet, but I started at just below 6,000 feet at the airport I took off on. So it's way above sea level, this land here. Using live weather in Microsoft Flight Simulator, AccuSeason trees, I believe. As you can see, they look beautiful, beautiful area to fly around this, by the way. Now, I'm to the left of it, I'll come to the right. I'm coming, this needle here is coming slightly down, I can see. So I'll keep climbing. Now, I don't want to be too quick here, because it won't be long till I get into my flap speed. I will show you the whole thing. I'm going to save this for a future video. Like I said, let me know if you want to see that. How to set up using the radios, either Logitech radio panel, or you can do it manually on these radio panels. A manual ILS approach. And in a future video, myself and Aces are planning a collaboration for one of my back to basic videos showing VOR to VOR navigation, how to get from point to point, from place to place, using the dials manually and using the radio panels in your chosen aircraft. That should be a quite exciting video. So it's a flight simmer versus real world pilot, or ex-real world pilot. So there's Denver International. I'll keep coming to the left there, I want this dial to come inwards to me. And I'll line it up properly. I'll show you a little bit of this, but I want to show you, I want to save the whole sort of landing and setting up for a future video, like I've mentioned. So I'll keep climbing there. 15 nautical miles out, that's fine. As you see, these dials should start moving towards the centre, and then you've got to chase them to keep them centre to hopefully do a nice ILS manual landing. There you go, so that line is coming in now. So I've just come to I'll bank to my left here, just so I don't overshoot it, because I can see Denver International right in front of me. And if that's dead in the centre and stays in the centre, it means I've got a perfect line to my chosen runway, which is nice. So there you go. Listen, I won't keep going on with this. As you can see, it's working fine, and I'm going to save this specific kind of approach and set up for another video. Let me know your thoughts. Do you have a radio panel yourself? Are you interested in getting one? Let me know your thoughts. Works with Windows 10, no problem. I don't have Windows 11, so I can't confirm if it works or not. My inkling is that it will work fine. Or maybe others can confirm that in the comments. Give the video a like if you've enjoyed it. Subscribe for more while I show you my pretty pink aircraft. Subscribe for more, and I'll see you soon.